welcome to my channel. I'm Cade. I use they them pronouns. Nice to meet you, or nice to see you again. Today's video is going to be all about Hellraiser. So I personally love Hellraiser. And I'm going to do makeup, so I'm going to put all the products I used in the description, all the places I collected my information from in the description. And yeah, and just a little note, I will be editing my videos very differently in future videos, but I messed up how I recorded my makeup, so I will be changing that in the future. But yeah, anyways, hope you enjoy the video. See you in a second. Bye.
So we're going to start off with Hellraiser Media. So there are three main groups within this. So there's the films, the books, and the comics. So starting off with the films. So there's two ways to watch these really. So there's the release date. I'm doing it by the UK. So that would be first film, Hellraiser, released in 1987. Then Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, 1988. Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, 1992. Hellraiser Bloodlines, released in 1996. Hellraiser Inferno from the 2000s. Hellraiser Hellseeker from 2002. Hellraiser-The from 2005. Hellraiser Hellworld from 2005, Hellraiser Revelations from 2011, Hellraiser Judgment from 2018, and finally Hellraiser from 2020. However, if you want to watch them chronologically, you can watch them Hellraiser from 1987, Hellraiser 2 from 1988, and Hellraiser 3 from 1992, and then Hellraiser Bloodlines from 1996, and then Hellraiser Hellseeker from 2002. And then you can watch standalones, so Hellraiser Inferno from 2000, Hellraiser-The from 2005, Hellraiser Hellworld from 2005, Hellraiser Revelations from 2011, and Hellraiser Judgments from 2018. Few books within the universe, so there's the Hellbound Heart, which is the main book that's written by Clive Barker and what the first films are based off of, and then there's Hellraiser The Toll by Mark Allen Miller, then The Scarlet Gospels by Clive Barker, and oddly, Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell by Paul Kane, and then a more autobiographical kind of thing is Hellraiser and Their Legacies by Paul Kane. So there's also comic books. It's really hard to get your hands on these. I've not been able to find them, but there isn't really a reading order I could find for the comics either. However, they've had like multiple comic series and they've all been published by different companies, so Boom Studios, Epic Comics, and Seraphim Inc. As long as you stick to the same publisher and follow the issues numerically, they should be fine, but you can find more info on the wiki. So we're going to look into the universe and characters. So obviously the most crucial characters are the Cenobites. Cenobites are servants of the Leviathan who are based in the labyrinth that we explore in Hellraiser 2 from 1988. Cenobites are created, and in most cases Cenobites start as humans. The Cenobites can reach Earth when unearthly artifacts are opened. Within the film, it's the puzzle box, officially called the Lament configuration. Clive Barker wanted the Cenobites to stay true to his original writings in the Hellbound Heart. Jane Wildgoose, a costume designer, was requested to make a series of costumes for Super Butchers. The character design was based on punk fashion and Catholic garments, as well as Barker's visit to S&M clubs in his youth. There are many Cenobites within the universe, so I'm just going to touch on a few notable characters. So there's Butterball. He begins in Hellraiser 1987. Before being a Cenobite, Butterball was a perverted man called Laszlo, who found pleasures in sin. He ended up in hell after solving the puzzle box. He did not make an appearance in the Hellbound Heart, but did make an appearance in Scarlet Gospel. The Chatterer from Hellraiser 1987. In the Hellbound Heart, he is the last follower of the original Pinhead Quadrant. At Blue Ghost with a 0 in Ghost, aka Boring Blue Boy on TikTok, says his name should be Chatterbox, and I 100% agree. And if you any horror films, totally go check them out. They're really cool. Anyway, Chatterer's origins were revealed in the 2017 short story Prayers for Desire. As a preteen, Chatterer, aka Jim, frames his mother for the murder of his abusive father. He's sent away to an orphanage. While he's there, he has a gay relationship with a boy called Seth. When Jim turns 16, he follows Seth's steps into prostitution. During this, Jim is given the Lamentic configuration by someone who claims to be the god of pain and desire, who he begins to serve by distributing the Lamentic configuration to many people. Years later, Seth and Jim meet up again. Seth has been blinded by their former pimp as a punishment for Jim leaving. A hell servant tries to convince Jim to force Seth to open the puzzle box, but Jim refuses. He is then disfigured by the god of pain and pleasure. In 2021, he appeared in the game Dead by Daylight. The character design changed in the sequel so Vince the actor could see to prevent any injuries which he had sustained in the first film. There have been multiple versions of the Chatterer. The next Cenobite, and I must say with an unfortunate name, is Open or Deep Throat. She debuts in Hellraiser. Before being a Cenobite, she was a nun called Sister Nicolette, who became lustful. A travelling man gifted her the Le Merchant box. She opened the box, and Gilliard, an ancient Cenobite, used each of her holes, and then took her to Hell, where she became the High Priestess of Hell. Her origin story was written by Barb Wilde, who is the actress that plays her in Hellraiser 2. Our next Cenobite is Pinhead. When Pinhead was human, he was Elliot Spencer, an Englishman, born during the Victorian era in 1887. He would later serve in the British Army as a captain during World War I. After the Battle of Flanders, he lost his faith in God. While struggling with his PTSD, he wanders through the world, indulging in a hedonistic lifestyle. He begins to use more extreme methods to find pleasure. This leads him to discover the Lamentic configuration. In Hellbound Heart, there is no clear leader of the Cenobites, and Pinhead's gender is entirely vague due to the amount of mutilations on the body. The original design for Pinhead was inspired by African fetish sculptures. In the first film, Pinhead didn't have a name. He was given it by fans of the film. His one-liners did make me giggle. Welcome to your worst nightmare of all. Reality. Edgy teen vibes. Angelique from Hellraiser Bloodlines. Before being a Cenobite, she was a princess of the Labyrinth. I think she's a reference to the 7 princes of Hell who have represented 7 deadly sins. Every mortal she meets becomes madly in love with her. leaving me to believe that she's a manifestation of the deadly sin, lust. Angelique is forcibly turned into a Cenobite by Pinhead after she fails to manipulate the character John. In the original Bloodline script, Angelique had a group of pseudo-Cenobites accompanying her throughout the film. However, they were cut. Honourable mentions. So, Kirsty Cotton. She's in the first 2 films, as well as a film we do not talk about. Anyway, she becomes a Cenobite in the comics, and not only that, but makes Pinhead into a human. Then, CD, the DJ, a minor character that throws CDs as a Cenobite in Hellraiser-3, Hell on Earth. There's also a theory that Candyman is also a Cenobite. He was created by Clive Barker, as well as that he is linked to pain and pleasure, much like the rest of the gang. Religion and Hellraiser. The Cenobites are presented to almost have morals and rules. This is especially true within the first 2 films. The Cenobites do not generally attack random people, and when they do, it's to show that there's a lot in order. In Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, when Pinhead and Elliot become separate entities, Pinhead acts in an erratic manner, causing a bloodbath, and yes, Hellraiser is no stranger to acts of violence. However, they're almost controlled, contained, and tactical when it comes to the Cenobites. The Cenobites are inherently religious. It's the definition of the word. Many religions ask that you give up pleasures. However, the Cenobites pervert that. You don't need to give up anything to become the most enlightened form, as pain and pleasure are to the extreme extent that they're indistinguishable. However, throughout the series, the Cenobites' beliefs and reasons for their actions become more contradictory and muddy. This is why I believe many of the later films were disliked. They were less like the original 3 films, where the Cenobites were clear individuals working in a unit towards a goal, and more like a Catholic version of demons and a very literal idea of hell, which is fine, but I would argue overdone and a far cry from the original 3 films. Review of the films. Personally, I love Hellraiser, but a lot of the films did let me down. That being said, I still love it. Just like everyone, I liked 1 and 2. They stayed true to the source material and were full of plot as well as fun surrealist scenes. I liked Bloodlines. It had some whimsy, especially the fact that parts of it were in space. It was fun. This might be controversial, but my favourite Hellraiser film was Hellworld. It was very different from the other films, but I respected that because it knew it wasn't going to be Hellraiser 1 or 2. And it had Henry Cavill in it, as well as Carrie Payton, who I know as King Ezekiel from The Walking Dead. It was 1000% a product of the 2000s, with a fun metal soundtrack and an interesting plot that had an unexpected twist. That's my thoughts on the films. Go check them out.
So yes, this is me as Pinhead. I'm going to add some more blood, some coagulated blood, which if you don't know, it's just the thicker stuff. But I'm going to add that when it's closer to my event. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully there should be some more coming out. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, and bye. See you next video.